You never know. You might. I want to listen to some of you. Watch some of them. People who aren't here, there's a few of those. Oh, by the way, thank you for doing those surveys. You just pass them together.
I didn't even realize I counted.
Appreciate it.
First off, like 7.
Hey, I guessed all this.
I gave 2 to the wrong person today. That's great.
Elijah,
What do you want to start with, guys?
Yeah.
7, 8, or 9? Each particular question.
Oh, let's go with 9.
Go with 9 first.
Yeah, let's go with 9.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't remember any other material. Just 9. You want to do all of them?
Yeah.
Or any particular ones?
Let's do all.
All.
I feel like
Okay, let's do quiz 9. The one you just got back, the one you just did.
And then in the review, you should do a 7 and 8.
Oh, yeah. Just do all of them between the 2? All right. Yeah. Oh, I was hoping we'd cancel at least one of them. Let's cancel one of the final reviews. Never.
No.
The final reviews. At December 31st, 06, the Indochine Company's first year of business, they have inventory of 4,100 and 2,800 at cost and market respectively, except those were backwards, weren't they? So it's 2,800 and 4,100, 2,800 cost, 4,100 market. Following is data relative to the December 31st, 2007 inventory. And the first thing you had to do was to determine, well, the first thing is to prepare the entry at 12/31/06 necessary to implement lower of cost or market. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, and be sure and do the online ones, right? Be sure and do it. And I do read them. I know I'm old and I'm a full professor, and I'm never getting promoted again. I haven't had a raise since I started teaching, so it's not going to affect that, right, guys? So, and I have tenure, obviously. But you do know that on people who do not have tenure, you know, new people, year-to-year people, somebody who's starting their tenure track, almost everybody's a nice person, right? You run a lot of people that are really awful. We notice them a lot when we meet them, but most people are pretty nice. You can put in an evaluation, they are a wonderful person, but they cannot teach. If that's true, do it. Because if you don't, what happens? They stay here forever. Once they get tenure, they're here forever because they must be a good teacher by virtue of the fact that you guys never said they weren't. And at Bellarmine, if you get evaluations that say, oh my, really a nice person, but oh my, you know, I didn't learn anything, nobody's learning anything, this is an abject disaster, they won't be here anymore. They'll go do something else.
Even if they have tenure?
Oh, if they have tenure, at least action will be taken. That's in, somebody will yell at them about it or something. It might affect their pay, they'll get a raise or something, you know, and maybe then they modify their behavior. It's more critical with people without tenure. And I'm not saying don't evaluate people with tenure, be evaluated just the same, but it's really critical for somebody without tenure, really critical, or without promotions, because then they might change their behavior to get a promotion to get some more money or something, you know, that kind of stuff. Did I give you back your stuff? I didn't, did I? No. I want you to do one of these if you would. You want me to fill it out for you? Yeah, anyway. You know, I think I've heard that there were situations, I'm sure there are because they're documented, where people were not going to get tenure and they did their own evaluations, you know, and they'd find a way. And when we handed them out by hand, I've heard of people throwing them away, filling out their own, and, you know, so, because they always say we're not supposed to watch you when you do evaluations because it would intimidate you. Well, I can imagine people wandering around the room looking at what you wrote down, I suppose, trying to analyze your handwriting. Don't worry about that stuff. Nobody gets any access to anything until after they give you your grade, right? So, and I don't get those. I don't care. Who said what? That's overall. What's that? You shuffle.
Yeah.
We're always, all the review sessions are outside of class.
That's what I'm saying. He's never with me outside of class. I'm not sure.
I can never find him in his office, right? Oh, that's right. He doesn't have an office. Okay, anyway, let's do some stuff. All right, so the first thing you do, I guess, in part A, we don't have to calculate the value of the inventory yet. We just make a journal entry. How much is the journal entry going to be for? look, the cost is 2,800, right? The market is 4,100. What do we want to do? Write it down to, now, wait a minute, I said it backwards. It was right, and I changed it on here. When he asked me that question, 4,100 was the cost, 2,800 was the market. I'm not adjusting your scores, it's half a point. But cost
Way to
and
go,
market,
David. You go.
What?
cost was higher than market, that's all they were implying. We weren't gonna be calculating,
You should have known.
retail inventory. I do know it, yeah.
Well, then why didn't you say it?
Yeah, oh, well, you caught me off guard. Why'd you ask that question? God. Okay, anyway, if this is your cost and this is your market after you calculate the inventory, what do you need to do? Write your inventory down by 1,300. What kind of a loss is this thing? Loss due to
Market. Decrease.
market decline.
Still biscuit. Yep.
Just give everybody 1 point,
Oh, I appreciate that.
half a point.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I'm
was
still
gonna say
dropping
full
it.
points for just that problem.
No, I don't think so. It's just part A. Okay, 1,300. And credit what, you guys? It says up above they're using which method? It says somewhere they're using which method?
There's a,
Assuming they use a contra account in part A. Assuming they use a contra account. What's the name of the contra account?
oh, wow.
Allowance for decline, right? For market.
Was I?
Something like that. Right, guys? And that would have been a point. Did I screw up some of you guys by having you switch those around? Like you couldn't do it anymore? Yeah, maybe. You did it right anyway? Good, all right. Ignored me. That's a good strategy. I like that one.
All right, whatever.
Yeah, that's a good strategy. Yeah, okay. Anyway, so a number of you got half of that anyway, I guess. But no wonder people got confused. Okay, anyway, yeah. So the market, if the market is less than the cost, what do you need to do? Write it down. What if it recovers the next year?
Don't write it up. Don't.
Don't write it up? Well, you know what, with the allowance, though, you have to get rid of the allowance stuff. But it'll rotate through anyway, right? Yeah. So, but yeah, you don't write it back up. What if we weren't using the allowance method here? You just credit inventory, right? Instead of debiting loss, what else could we have debited, by the way? It doesn't have to be loss. They didn't say what should be, did they? What could it be instead of loss? So what? Cost of goods sold. So this could be either loss or cost of goods sold, right? It's still a debit. Okay? Got it? So sorry for confusing you. Okay, then complete the columns. So what do we do for completing these columns here? I've got item A, B, C, D, E. Some of you guys messed this up. I can't believe it. Okay? The cost is what? 65 cents? 45? 70? 75? 90. And I don't know how you got confused on this. Maybe because I confused the other stuff in your manage or something. Okay, so the cost to replace it would be, oh, by the way, separate your cost from your three markets. Then you're going to take, right, the one that's in the middle of the market and then compare it to the cost. Take whichever one's lower. Okay, so replacement is, we're just copying these. So I would have done it right on the paper, which you guys did for the most part, I think. Save time. Okay, I don't know anything yet until I do the rest, right? What do I want? Net realizable value? How many get net realizable value here?
Selling price minus the cost.
Ah, all right. So selling price minus the cost to dispose of it. Net realizable value is sales price minus disposal cost, right? Okay, so I've got a sales price of what? Everyone's $1. And what's the disposal cost? 10% of that. So what does that make every single one of them? 90 cents? Every one of them. Right, guys? It's true, isn't it? Okay? Net realizable value is 90. And then what? Net realizable value less normal profit. What's the normal profit? 30% is selling, so it's 30 cents, right?
Yeah.
Right, so what does that make every single one of them? 60 cents. Okay. All right, I don't think this was a hard problem.
I thought I was doing it wrong because they were all the same.
Yeah. Now I want the one in the middle. You know what? This one's never in the middle, is it? So what's in the middle?
Uh,
60, 60, now what?
65,
75, 90, 60, right? 75,
65,
okay? 65, 90, 60, 65, right? 85, 90, 60, what should it be? 85, okay? And then so what does all that add up to? Take 60 plus 60, because there's this constant number of all of them, right? So 1,000 of each item. So I can take 1,000 times each of those if I want.
Wait, 1,000 times 60?
Well, you could. This would be $600, right? Oh, wait a minute. I didn't finish yet. Come on, Keith. Don't go too fast. Which is lower, 65 or 60? Because now we're doing the cost compared to the market, right? So 60 is the one we want. There we go. All right. Which one's lower, 45 or 60? 45. That's the only one. Which one's lower, 70 or 75? 70. Which one's lower, 75 or 65? 65. Which one's lower, 90 or 85? 85. That's how we do it, right? And then what? You could add together 60 cents plus 45 plus 70, right? Plus 65 plus 85. And what'd you get if you did that? 325?
So we're doing that.
You can do it that way if you want, and then take that times what? 1,000. Because there's 1,000 of each of them. That'd be the quick mathematical way to go. It's 3,250. But if you don't see that, big deal. It doesn't matter. That's my inventory value, right? If you don't see that, what could you do? 60 cents times 1,000 is how much? 600 for this one. 45 cents here times 1,000. What do you get? 450. And we keep doing that, don't we? 70 cents times 1,000, 750 or 700. Come on, Keith. And then 65 cents times 1,000, 650. And then 85 cents times 1,000, 850. And then you add all those together, what do you get? 600 plus 450 plus 700 plus 650 plus 850, 3,250. So it would have been faster if you did it the other way, of course. It doesn't matter. Everybody good? And things just went crazy on some of you guys. And a lot of people got it, but some just went nuts. Okay, so now what do we need to do the next year? Prepare the entry necessary based on the data above. I gave you 3 points, by the way, for coming up to that 3,250. So that was most of the problem. Okay, then what happens? What's going to happen to my allowance from last year?
it is going to
I have the allowance. If I want to make it 0, what would happen?
debit.
One way you could do it, you could debit. You could debit the allowance for 1,300 and credit what? Cost of goods sold for 1,300. The author suggests that. Or you could, and then what would you do? Because now how much allowance do I need? What's the inventory at what? Cost. How do you know the inventory at cost?
Let me just read it.
What was it? What is it at cost?
3,000, or the number up top.
Now that's the lower of cost or market. It's 3,250. What's cost? Come on, guys. Original cost per unit?
Oh,
These. What are they total to? They even gave you the total. 345, right? Yeah.
But it gave me the total.
Well, they didn't. You had to add them up. I take it back. Had to add up. 345? The key has it. Add it up. It's 1,000 of each of them. How much is the inventory? Yeah. So market is 3,250. Cost is 3,450. You guys agree with that? What do we need in the allowance right now? 200. Should be $200. So if you take the whole 1,300 out, what are you going to have to do now? Put 200 in, right, guys? Everybody agree with that? So how would you put it in? Debit loss or cost of goods sold again for 200 and credit what? Allowance. I think this author's approach is silly giving that, okay? I would not do 2 journal entries. What do you suppose I'd do?
do you use the allowance?
Yeah.
200?
I've got an allowance, I have an allowance right now with, how much was it? The original that we put in, 1,300? And I'd like it to only be how much? 200. How do I get it down from 1,300 to 200?
I did it, if it's not the 100.
Take that out of there. Okay, and what would that entry be?
Debit allowance.
Debit the allowance, 1,100 to get it down where I want it to be, and credit cost of goods sold or loss, right? How do
Wouldn't
you
it
do
be like a recovery, or,
Yeah, recovery of loss, yeah. You got it, 11. That is these two entries put together, okay? Nothing to it, huh? Piece of cake. No, not really. What was the easy part of this, though?
the top part?
The first one and part A, and then part B is really easy. I had screwed you up on A. This is really easy, you guys. That should just fall out for you. And it just calculates, right? And then the rest of it, well, where am I at? Where do I need to be? A little more complex as we went along. Not a real easy problem, but doable. Okay. Let's see. Let's try. Oh, where is it disclosed? They didn't give me points for that, but where could it be? In cost of goods sold and calculating gross profit, right? Okay, you can show that. Okay? Or you can put it down where? In operating expenses, right? Either in cost of goods sold or in operating expenses. Either way. The loss, right? If you call it cost of goods sold, put it in cost of goods sold. If you call it loss, put it in operating expenses. So you think? Either one's the same. All right. And then we had one, a lot of folks did better on this one. The second one is just an allocation of cost, right? So let's crank through it. All right, so we've got Highlands, Midlands, and Lowlands, huh? Are these lots or something? Yeah. All right. Same as the example in the book, huh? Okay, the number of them, we've got 20, 40, and 100. So we're going to spread it across 160, is that right? We don't really care about the 160 particularly. We know we have that many lots. Okay, so what would you want to do?
Multiply it by how much each lot for each one is.
Is going to sell for?
Yeah.
The sales price? So they even set them up in the right order for you. By the way, if they don't give you that in the problem, is it okay with you? Who cares, right? You have to set it up yourself. Okay, so they sell for 100,000. They're all even thousands, so we'll say 100K, right? 100,000. These sell for 75,000, is that right?
And 50.
And 50. So the high ones are view or something. Okay, got it? The lower swamps. Okay, anyway. So what we do is we multiply those together, we find out our total sales that we're going to have of each one, right?
Yes.
Total sales. So what's that? 2 million? Is the decimal in the right place? Yeah. 20 lots times 100,000. 2 million. Okay? So that's in thousands too. Okay, 40 times 75 is 3 million. Very good. They made the math easy, didn't they? This one's 5 million. Okay. Add them all up, you got 10 million. And then what we'd like to do is figure out what percentage we have of each type. So 2 million divided by 10 million, sound good? 20% of these, right, of the total sales. 3 million divided by 10 million is 30%, is that right? 5 million divided by 10 million is 50%?
Yes.
Sounds good? Make sure that adds up to 100%, so you make sure you did your math right, okay? Good idea. All right, anyway, so good. Then what do we have for total cost? That we want to allocate.
1,900,000.
It's 800,000 for purchasing the land, and then for developing into the lots is 2,000,001. I think we got 2,000,009 invested, don't you guys? Okay. So what do you want to do? Take that cost times 20%. You got the portion that goes on the high lots. How much is that? 580.
Yep. And then 870.
30% is 870.
And 50% is 140.
0.3 times it, or 0.5 times it, rather, is half of it. 1,450.
Yeah.
1,450,000. Now what do? Take the number of lots you have and divide it in, right? So 20 lots divided into 580 is how much per lot? 29,000 even? Better do that. Say 10,000. It came out exactly what you did. Okay. 870,000 divided by 40, how much is that? And then 1,450 divided by 100 lots, right guys? Or 1,450,000 is 14.5 per lot, is that right? And if you wanted to get the average lot, you could do that too, couldn't you? You know, 2,000,009 divided by 160 lots would give you the average if you wanted it. Didn't ask for that. 1 point for each of those. Got it? Nobody should have missed this one. All right. So like, you should have, everybody should have 3 on the first one too, right? And everybody should have had 3 on this one. Everybody ought to be, we ought to be 6 at least. Don't you think? By the way, are you working in your other classes or something? And did you know you had 2 quizzes to drop? And thought, what the hell, 1 more, I can drop it? How many fit in that category?
We did so well in the other ones that it didn't matter.
Yeah, you're so good anyway, yeah. It didn't matter if I blow this one out. Yeah, well, always something's got to give, huh, you guys? It's good to get used to that. Something will give. All right, you got it right.
If I did that one, I would have done it.
Oh, you didn't do it. You didn't do one of the easy ones. Okay, number 3. All right, this is the 3rd one. Let's do number 3. Okay, these are really easy, but I don't know what happened. Some of you guys got off 20,000. A bunch of you did. So we'll have to see what you did here. An inventory taken the morning after a huge theft loss discloses there's 60,000 on hand, right? The following data is available. Okay, so I think I just do a T account for this if I were you guys. Did you do this? I like T accounts. You can tell, obviously. It started at 84,000. Is that right? That's a debit problem. Thank you. Brain's working real well. 84,000. Okay, that's beginning inventory. What did it say the ending is after the theft loss? Is that how much is left? 60,000 is left at the end, right? That's after the loss. Fire or theft or whatever it was. Yeah, after loss. Okay. All right. And then what happened? They purchased how much?
60/30.
Could I figure out what the inventory is before the loss?
Yeah.
If I knew what?
Sales.
And not sales. The cost of those sales. Yeah. Cost of goods sold. Absolutely. Right? Right?
Yeah.
Well, you said sales. Is that what you did wrong? Okay, anyway, yeah, so if we could estimate the cost of goods sold, we have it made with me. You guys do know that sales less cost of goods sold is gross profit, right? Okay, what do we got? Do we know what the sales were or something?
Yeah.
Well,
They were 120.
they're 120. So this number's 120. What else do we know?
15% above cost.
Oh, so cost is 100% of itself? This is 50%? What does that make the sales? 150%, right? Of cost. Ah, some of you did what? Said sales are 100, right? Cost of goods sold is 50 and gross profit's 50. I bet you did. Because it says what here? It's above cost. It's not a 50% gross profit percentage, right? What's the gross profit percentage? The markup is what they gave you is 50%. What's the gross profit percentage? Let's see, this is 100% of itself, right? So 150%. This is 100 divided by 150. What's that?
66.7.
66.7%. What's 50 divided by 150?
33.
33 and a third, right? It's 33 and a third percent, right? I got it made. I just take 2/3 of the 120, which is 80, right? And then that means I have 40 of gross profit. Does that look like a 50% markup to you? You know, 80 added up by 40? I think so. Does it look like a 33 and a third percent gross profit?
Yes, it does.
120 and that's a third of it? I think we're good, aren't we? We got it. Okay, so that cost of goods sold must have been what? 80,000. Can you add 84 plus 63 less 80? What number do you get?
67.
Is it 67? So the ending inventory before the loss is 67. What must the loss have been? Is there any excuse for not having those points? So easy. Just relax and do it. Okay? So, and I realized you were doing other things instead of studying this easy stuff. But this is pretty easy. Sorry. Even I think it's easy. I'm old. Okay. You'll get so you're real comfortable with this.
Actually, you should use for everything is you're old.
Oh, somebody was asking if they improved their grade. How would you compute how much you improved your grade? Could improve your grade. You guys know what the scale is, right?
Yeah.
80, 75, 70, it's in the syllabus, right?
I put it in.
And I stick fairly close to that. I reserve the right to go lower, I won't go higher, right? So if you get 80, you got an A, right? If you get 75, you got an A minus, but I reserve the right to go lower. If you get carried away in the final or something. So, if it's too hard. But anyway, what you could do is you could take the points you have now, right? Figure out the points you need. It's 650 total in the class?
Yep.
Take 650 times 0.8, that's an A. Subtract what you have now, that's what you need. A minus, take 0.75 times 650, subtract what you not have now, that's an A minus. What if you're worried about getting into a C category? What is it, 50% for C? Is that what it was? 50 for an even C, something like that.
80, 75,
So 50% of 350 is 275. 60% of 650 is 325. God. 650 times 50% would be 325. Subtract whatever you have now, and that's what you need to get to a C. So you can directly predict where you're at. Okay? Be realistic. Don't expect yourself to get 110% of the points or something, but is 90% of the points in this final possible? Yes, I've had that happen in my finals. Cumulative learning process. 80% possible? Absolutely, easily. 80% can be done. Right? No matter where you're at, 80% can be done. So just say 80. The final's 200 and this test is 100. So we have 300 points left out of the 650. Well, with 300 more points left out of 650, you can go up really big time. Absolutely. Right? And the final's cumulative. Now, it's not going to be like principals where it's the same questions, though. They'll look different. But it's the same stuff. It's the same stuff. If you've got it wired and you didn't know how to do something the first time through on a quiz and then sort of knew how to do it on a test, you could have it wired for the final. And that happens all the time. What do we want when you go take the CPA exam?
I have the wire.
You got it wired. You just know, I got it. Right?
Have the wires.
Yeah. Have the wires. Yeah. Bring the wires with you. Okay, anyway. Let's do number 4. Reese Company. Because we don't have anything else to do, because we don't have lives. So here we are, Friday afternoon.
I was sitting at 5.
No, you guys want to eat the rest of your lives, pay rent and stuff, I guess. So, okay. I don't know why I'm here, but I have enough to pay rent now. Reese Company.
Someone to give you bad reviews before you got in here.
I mean, I like it. That was good. Somebody was not responsible. I got it. Before I had tenure, I probably wasn't telling people to be responsible. No, I was, actually. I was. Took me a long time to get tenure, though. Reese Company prepares...
You get these bad reviews. What's happening?
Yeah. What I like is I'd always be handing out the evaluations when they were by hand, and then hand people their exams, return it, grade it, and hand them the evaluation at the same time. This is just asking for it. So, oh well. Okay, this was a little more fun. They have a markup. That right? It's cost plus 20, right, guys? Okay, on this one, Reese prepares monthly income statements, images counted only at year end. Thus, month end, they're going to estimate it. Sure. Okay, so we do exactly what we did in the last problem. All sales are made on account. The markup is 20%. Okay, which makes the sales price 120% of the cost, right? Okay, gross profit is 20%. The following information is available. So here we've got sales, cost of goods sold, gross profit. This is 100% of itself. This is 20%. You don't have to, by the way, convert these to margins, right? You could just divide by 1.2 and do that kind of thing, right? Instead, okay?
How do you get to have that in the chapter?
120%. Okay, this is the markup, right? We're going to make that point. What's the margin? If we make this 100% of itself, What do we have? What's 20 divided by 120? 16.7%.
Yep.
Right, 1/6. Okay. And then this one is 83.3%. You guys getting, so this is just intuitively obvious to you? I hope. Okay. All right. Okay, good. So I know that my cost is 83%, 83.3% of my sales. I do, don't I? You guys okay with this?
Yeah.
All right. By the way, if you don't have these right, don't beat yourself up over it. Just get it down for the test, okay? And then if you don't have it for the test, what do?
Get it out.
It gets down to the final. And then what if you don't have it there?
You cry.
I will see you this summer. It'll be fun. We'll do it again. I like having a bigger class. It's not a problem. Okay? So that's the worst thing that happens. That's not going to happen. Okay? Just dig in. Dig in and go for it. Lots of points going. And by the way, we have lots of time. How many weeks are left?
2.
2 weeks. How much additional material are we going to do?
Nothing.
None. What can you accomplish in 2 weeks?
Everything.
Wow. What if you put 80 hours into it? For some of you, that's more studying you did all semester, unfortunately. For some of you, you don't need to put 80 hours in. Why?
Wired.
You got a wire. That's it. Yeah. Hardwired. Better yet. Yeah. Hardwired. Okay. We used to talk about that with computers, whether it was a program or hardwired. It was never hardwired. It was always a program you couldn't modify. Yeah. So anyway, right. But they call it that. They wanted people to believe within the system you couldn't change it. So, okay. Anyway, marketing. Yeah. So what do we want to do, you guys? Probably figure out the inventory? How about this? What do we know? Do we know the beginning? I don't know the end. That's what I'm calculating, of course. Okay, what's the beginning?
45.
What do I add to that?
58.
Why? Because I bought it.
Purchase.
That'd be net purchases plus freight, right, guys?
Yeah.
All right, then what?
Do your accounts receivable teacher?
You gotta have the cost of goods sold. Do I know my sales? If
Yeah.
I did, I could take my sales times 83%, and I got it made, right? That'd be my cost of goods sold. Do I know my sales? Nope. Do I know accounts receivable? By the way, where do you think sales are going to be? They even told you everything's sold on account. I think the sales go into accounts receivable. What do you guys think? What else happens in accounts receivable? Probably debit cash and credit accounts receivable? What do you bet? In the world I live in, we debit accounts receivable and credit sales. You know this from the deferrals and accruals stuff we did, right?
Yeah.
And then when they collect it, you debit cash and you credit accounts receivable, right? If I knew the beginning, and I knew the ending, and I knew how much was collected over here, I bet you anything that I could figure out how much was sold. And that's exactly what they're going to give me. Accounts receivable beginning is how much?
21,000.
Ending.
27,000.
I bet they sold 6,000 more than they collected. How much did they collect?
9,000.
By the way, if I wanted to compute how much they collected, could they have told me what the sales were? Yes. Remember that from the first, chapter 3 maybe, right? Okay. And be able to, that's going to, by the way, this is a comprehensive final. Chapters 1 through 3. Just as much on it, right? 1/9 per, or what is it, 1/10 per chapter. Right?
Yeah,
You know how to do whack cap in?
Yes.
I'm going to give you 1/10 of the final for that. Got it? 30 points for doing whack cap in again. Right? You're going to nail it, right? Because you still have a wire. Yeah. Okay. Anyway. So what do we want to do? Figure out our sales then. How much must it have been? 6 more, huh?
Yes.
Everybody agree with that? Oh, this was 90,000. Credit there, debit there. If you know the journal, you've got it made. So if it's a debit receivables for 96, it's a credit sales for 96. And now what do I do? Take that times 83 and a third. How much is that?
80.
80,000, is it? Okay. And to make sure I'm right, take it also times 16.7. Just make sure you're right.
Yeah, that's 60.
And that's 16, so you're good, right? So this is 80. What's ending, you guys? 45 plus 58 less 80 is how much? 23,000. Okay. If you missed it or you're kicking yourself down, you should be. Don't miss these anymore. Get this stuff down. And I know it's not intuitively obvious until you do it for a while, and then it kind of is. Work on it. So get to that point. Okay, let's do number 5. These drive you crazy. I hate the way these are written. but they do this on the CPA exam all the time, so that's why I give it to you. It'll drive you crazy, won't they? Okay, it says A is x equals y, B is x is greater than y, C is x is less than y, and then D is x is equal to or greater, and E x is equal to or less. So sometimes they might be equal, so this makes it even worse. Okay, the first one says, show the relationship between x and y for each of the independent situations. So, okay, let's see. Cost of market, or market, whichever is lower, may be applied to the inventory as a whole, or to categories of inventory items, right?
Yeah.
And then also we could have it for individual items, right? So we've got whole, types, categories, and items. And that's the spectrum, right? Here we offset lower than cost and higher than cost against each other before we compare it to cost, right? Through the inventory as a whole. So you're offsetting those. Here you don't do any offset. If market is lower than cost, you got to write it down. So I will get a bigger write down here, right? Maybe. This would be more write down. Everybody agree with that? This one has more write down. Unless all of them are cost or all of them are market. Then what? It's the same. So it's more or same, right? If all the markets are lower or all the costs are lower, you got the same inventory, right? It's just where some are lower and some are higher, these two, both of these, right, will be less. This will be less, and this will be even more less, so it could be less or the same. So how do we do this, guys? What's going to happen? You got to know what X is. X is the reported value when procedure is 1, and 1 is the whole inventory. So this is X. Do it like that. Write it down, because you get confused really easy. And then Y is if procedure 2 is used, which is categories. All right? And they're going in this order, back and forth, right? So between these two, this one would be what? Whoops, less. Whoops, this one would be more. More inventory, right? And what are they asking us about? The reported value of the inventory. If they asked about the write-down, it'd be the inverse of that, right? So the reported value of the inventory would be what? Oh, I lied because it's C. Oh, you know what? They gave us one more piece of information. What does it say?
The reported value of the inventory.
Cost may be applied to images of whole categories.
Not D.
Doesn't say prices are changing, does it? Oh, it's D. I apologize. I looked the wrong one.
So wait,
It
what
is
is
D.
D?
It's not equal. It's equal to or greater, right? It's more or greater. Why? More or the same.
So Y is greater than X, or greater than or equal to X.
Greater than or equal to
X is greater than or equal to Y. It's D. X is greater than or equal to Y.
Which one was Y? Oh.
You got to get X and Y straight. Anyway, we'll do this in review. See you guys.
I really want to know.
We'll spend some time on it. You want to know what the answers are?
Yeah.
Yes.
D is in dog, C is in cat, E is in elephant, C is in cat, B is in boy.
Wait, C for 2, what's 3?
E, C, D.
Oh, I thought you'd use one letter once.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
You should know.
Don't do that on the CPA exam. Sometimes they'll give you 13 responses and only 9 slots. What are you going to do?
Yeah, but
Sometimes they'll give you 9
I was
responses.
going to say, this one's 5 and
5 and 5,
5.
so you should use them all.
Yeah. What was number 6?
Number 6 is 58,500.
Never mind.
58,500?
Number 7 is 9,360.
9,360.
Yeah. And 8 is 190,200.
190,200.
Yeah.
What was number 7?
9360.
8.
190200. 190,200.
No, still missed it.
Okay, guys? Fun.
3 o'clock?
Yeah. 3 o'clock. Did you?